So today we've set some time aside. Brian is outside working on our fencing that we are going to be adding for the goats and the coons. And I'm gonna go to the garden and plant the potatoes and possibly try to get the onions in. So I'll meet you out there. Okay, so Brian came out and tilled this little patch of ground right here for me. And I don't know exactly how big it is. I am getting ready to plant my potatoes. They are Minnesota certified seed potatoes. They are the red potatoes, the small little red jewels. They are the best for growing. And I also purchased some onions, which I plant every year, potatoes and onions. I typically will can them if I get a good enough harvest. Last year there was a lot going on, seems like, and my potatoes didn't do that great. But I have had very good luck with them in previous years. And I'm hoping for a good harvest because I would like to share with my sister who is coming out. She has a YouTube channel also. Right now she's located in Oregon, and it's Hanson Never Done Farms. But she's coming out just right in the middle of the gardening season and hasn't been able to plant anything where she's at. It's too early, and will be leaving the area before she's able to harvest. So I'm going to share. I'm going to go ahead and get my rows started, and I'll be back. What I thought was red seed potatoes turned out to be russets. I am in my 50s, and for all of you that are that age, you understand the small print right there. I didn't have my glasses on the day I bought these, and I just seen the Minnesota seed potatoes and thought that's what I purchased last year and grabbed them. Bought 10 pounds. So we're planting russets today, and thankfully my mother, who lives next door, had purchased 5 pounds of red Pontiac potatoes and has decided she's not planting them, so is going to gift them to me. And of course I will share once we harvest. So anyways, this is where we're going to plant them. I don't know if it's going to be big enough for 15 pounds of potatoes, but I'll put in what we can. So I've set up my little camera. This is the first time that we're using this camera. I'm hoping it all works well. I'm going to show you how I plant my seed potatoes. I've kind of lined out my rows to be about a foot to 18 inches apart. And then the seed potatoes, I think I put them in every 12 inches or so. But anyways, I'll do a few rows for you all to see how I do it. And hopefully they grow and we get some russets. I have never planted russets here in Oklahoma. I've always put in the red Pontiac seed potatoes, and they do really well for us. But make sure I'm not exposing myself, I guess. Anyways, potatoes go in about 3 inches, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just gonna do up a few, dig a few holes. And mind you, if Brian was out here, we would have a string and the rows would be straight. But he is over working on a fence for the coons and minis today. We are adding about, I don't know, I think it's 300, well, well, I'm not sure. I know we're adding about 150 feet of fence to our existing pastures. And we'll take a walk over there later. Anyways, that gives you a good idea of how I do it. And the potatoes look like this. And what we do is, you see all these little eyes on here? That is where the plant will grow up and sprout. And so I'm just gonna cut it. A lot of people do quarters. They take their potatoes and do quarters. But anyways, this part, this little eye that is growing goes up, and you just stick it in the ground like so and cover it. Potatoes are super easy to grow. They have, I'm gonna set that one aside and not do much with it and plant all the ones that have eyes sprouting first, and then I'll come back and grab my other ones. Anyways, I was saying that potatoes are super easy to grow. I never water them. Very, well, I shouldn't say never. I am not in the practice of watering my potatoes. We plant here in the middle of March, and so we get quite a bit of rain, enough to water, keep them watered until harvest. And that is typically the end of May, I think. But anyway, so this is how we're going to do this. Sometimes if there's more than 1 or 2 eyes growing, I will go ahead and split the potato, but I'm not going to do that this time because I've got an abundance of russets, more than, I made a mistake and bought russets instead of reds, and so that I don't waste the russets, I'm just going to go ahead and get them in the ground and get them planted. That is my mother coming over on her tractor. She lives right next door to us, and she offered to come and help me plant the potatoes, and of course I took her up on that. And we will check back later. Okay, so we planted the potatoes. I also went ahead and planted the onions, which are right there. I have this line going all the way down to the fence, and that way. I always plant my onions around my potato patch. It helps with the bugs, and they tend to do well together, so we shall see. I planted about 12 pounds. I'm going to say 5 pounds of red Pontiac, and then I planted about 9 pounds or 7 or 8 pounds of russets. This is the first year that I'm planting russets. I actually picked those up on accident. I thought they were red, and so we'll see how well they do. I'm going to move over to our grapevines over there. I've got a couple of extra. We started with 2 grape plants, and I have a third one in there that's kind of scrawny, not taken off very well, and I picked up a couple more. And I'm going to plant them on our trellis and see if we can get more than just, I think last year I juiced what grapes I did get, and it was about half a gallon. So I would really like to have more than that this year. We'll see. I've dug my hole for my Concord grapes, and I'm going to plant, I have 3 on this line right here. This side will be new. These are about, I'm gonna say 4 years old. We had them on a 4x4 post with heavy wire in between, spaced about 8 or 10 feet apart there, and they just grew up and on that wire and just were overloaded. I couldn't get up underneath them. I couldn't maintain them at all. And so last year we lost a whole bunch because they dried up. I couldn't see them and get up underneath them and pick. So this year we decided that we would change our trellis. We pulled the 4x4 post, took out all the wire, and we did the hoop. We're hoping that this will work better for us. I can walk through and the grapes will hopefully hang on the inside of the tunnel, and I can walk through and pick and see them, and they're not hidden. Oh, the kitty has found a deep hole. Oh no, kitty, I don't really want you to do that there. Okay, success. Our new little grape plants, Concord grapes. Years and years worth of fruit right there, and looking forward to it. Little shot of the minis. I was hoping to get out and do an udder clip on Gracie today, but that's not going to happen. Took me longer to plant the potatoes and onions than what I thought, and so that'll have to wait till Monday. Sunday is typically our day of rest. We don't work. We go to church. We have family visits and enjoy the benefits of what we've done all week. I clipped some of these purple little flowers and gave them to the goats. Nice little treat. All right, I will walk over and we will see how Brian's coming on the fence. Brian bought a tractor this year and absolutely is the best thing that he ever bought. He says, we have done everything by hand up to this point. Everything. Tilling the garden, putting in all of our fences, building all of our covers and hay feeders and greenhouse, chicken coop, everything, moving dirt. We've done it all by hand. Loading and unloading hay, all by hand. And things are so much better now with the tractor. And that guy, he's building muscle and character. Right, Alec?
What?
Building muscle and character.
Yeah.
We have chosen to use your stock panel. They're 16 foot long, 50 inches tall. For our fencing, we really like that idea, and if we ever wanted to change the configuration or add an enclosed area within that, it's pretty easy to just pull those up and move them, change the shape of our pastures and paddocks if we needed to. Brian has pretty much figured out where the bundles of T-posts need to lay so that we can spread them out fairly easily and not a bunch of reworking and extra walking. Hey, Winnie. Winnie! Hey, girl! What are you digging for over there? Coons are supposedly no rooting, but that's not always the case. Our coons root a little. It's not just the whole pasture, but they find something good that they like and they're gonna root up a little bit of it. And she's found a pretty soft spot. Hey, girl, what'd you find? You finding some good stuff? Huh? Are you finding some good stuff for you? Winnie is 11 months old. Actually, she's 10 months old. She'll be a year old in May. And I am going to breed her in August, I think. She'll be 14, 15 months old. And I'm going to breed her with Hamilton and see if we can get some little Rona piglets. I was able to bring her onto the farm. I did not raise her as a piglet. We purchased her in January of this year. I had somebody contact me. I had done an ISO on one of my Facebook groups, and that I was looking for a female. And somebody contacted me about a month or so later and asked if I was still looking, that they had, a friend of theirs had this girl and she just really wasn't prepared with her fencing and what it was going to take to care and maintain a 200-pound coon. So we was able to go and get her, but her previous owner was amazing and did an amazing job with her. She is the friendliest girl, answers to her name, loves petted and belly rubs, will lay over super easy. Hey, girl. And we just love her. I think she likes us too. We got the trailer unloaded. And we're starting our line. By the way, guys, this is my husband of 38 years. Love of my life, Brian.
Love of my life.
Uh-huh. Okay, I walked out here just to give you guys an idea of what we are doing. We are adding another 150 foot by 96 at the back, 76 here in the front pasture area for the coons and the mini Nubians. Our pastures where you see Winnie up there, Brian is out tying up fencing. We're going to get that started. That's probably going to take us several days to complete, but we've already worked most of the day today, and we have a 3 o'clock deadline. It's almost 3, right?
Yep, I don't want to work past 3. That's it.
Yep, I agree. That's what we've done today between the garden and the fence and
hey guys,
pastures.
I just wanted to do a follow-up on the potatoes that we planted about 10 days ago. And while I'm doing that, I'll just give you a little walkthrough of our garden. This is our asparagus bed. We started with 9 root balls. It is really taken off this year. We've noticed asparagus all along the railroad ties here, so the root system is very well established. I have put some strawberries in with our asparagus this year. That is a really good companion plant with asparagus. I've also added some dill and some parsley. This is my first year planting parsley, so I'm kind of excited to see how that does and how that takes off for us. But anyways, the asparagus bed we pick pretty much every day. Plenty for me and Brian. It will continue to grow until about the end of May or so, maybe the first part of June. This is spinach in this bed here, along with some Brussels sprouts. I don't know how well the Brussels sprouts will do here. I love Brussels sprouts, but I've never tried to actually grow them. The spinach is doing fairly well. I hope I didn't start it too late, that I don't get very much. It gets kind of warm here in Oklahoma, and I know that it doesn't do well when it gets too hot. I also have a little bed of cabbage that I started these plants in the greenhouse as seeds, and they're doing fairly well. I'm pretty happy with them. We have one potato plant that has popped up the last day before yesterday, actually, out of this whole bed, which is 24 by 25. Oh, look what I can spot. Another one. That's great. I'm excited. This side over here is red potatoes. Oh, and there's another one. This side over here is red potatoes. And this side is going to be russets. And the onions are doing pretty good. They're starting to green up. As you can see, I will come back in here in a few days, spread some hay. That way they're kind of coming up in some hay, so they're not so buried in the dirt. Anyways, this is how I do things. If you guys have some ideas or a better method, just leave me a comment and any suggestions you might have. This is what we call the greenhouse. We built this 2 years ago, and what we ended up doing, this is all recyclable materials. Well, the good majority of it is. We do not waste anything on the farm or around our property. We try to reuse. If we're tearing something down and we can repurpose it, that's what we try to do. We put new windows in our manufactured home a couple of years ago and was wondering what we could repurpose the old windows for. And talking about it and looking at some ideas, we decided that we would build us a little greenhouse. Someplace for me to start my seeds, that I wasn't having to bring everything inside and doing it all inside. It works really well. I don't have electricity out here. I started my seeds probably the end of February, and they did real good in the greenhouse, just with our good sunny days, warming it up. I was fairly happy with it. Take a little look inside. I have tomatoes growing. I have got my beans started in here. These are my green beans that I've started. I'm in the process of replanting my tomatoes. I started them all in these little biodegradable, cups. These are San Marzanos. They are a really good sauce tomato. I put up spaghetti sauce and stewed tomatoes and salsa, rotel, all of those things. So I like to have a good meaty tomato to do that with. So I'm in the process of transplanting into these bigger cups. I'm not ready to stick them out in the garden just yet. We are kind of beginning our storm season, tornado season here in Oklahoma, and it's fairly windy, as you'll be able to tell, I'm sure, from our videos over the next couple of weeks. And so I will leave them grow in here, let them stay in here for another 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. No power or there's no electric or water to the greenhouse, but I do have a hose that services just the plants inside the greenhouse. I have a couple of containers that I fill off of this. This is our reservoir that is hooked up to one gutter. So when it rains, this thing fills up. Hi, girls.
250 gallons.
It's 250 gallons, husband says. And that's what I use to water all of my plants in the greenhouse. Fairly simple. Hello, girls. How is everybody doing? Oh, my beautiful Belle. And Jasmine. Jasmine is a first freshener this year, and I weighed her milk actually, and she gave me just a little over 1 pound or 3 pounds of milk, which I am super excited to see what the years will hold with her. I expect good production from her over the next coming years. Anyways, so that's how we water everything in our little greenhouses, through that reservoir. We did add the shed roof last year, but we store our tiller and our wood chipper and wheelbarrow and a few things like that underneath there, so they don't get rained on. So the windows we took out of our house. The metal that you see on the house was actually the old skirting that was around our manufactured home. We opted to do brick for the skirting when we moved it on this property. And so that is our siding on our greenhouse. The roof we found off of Craigslist. Somebody had extra pieces, and so we was able to purchase that for little or nothing. The only thing that we bought actually new was the storm door, and probably the 2x4s and 4x4s that you see, or those are actually 5x5s that the greenhouse is sitting on top of as skids. Okay, so that's the greenhouse. Give you a quick look at our raspberry trellis. This is what the kind of trellis that we had our grapes on, which worked fairly well for the first year or two that we had the grapes, but last year it was just not what we needed. We needed something bigger. Right now this is working for our raspberries, and you can see they're starting to take off. And as they grow up, I will just kind of use these wires to support them, get them up off the ground so they're just not laying all over the rocks. Here is a shot of our garlic. I have grown garlic from the very beginning. I started growing garlic in 2013, and it's always done really good for me. We put in these beds, and this is what the garlic is grown in. Garlic takes about 9 months to grow, and so you plant in October, you harvest in June, and I do a lot with garlic. Then I also set back some to grow for the next season, but I dry it, I've grinded it, and made it into powder. We just love it. I do a lot of canning, so I use lots of garlic in my pickled okra and things like that. Okay, this was the grape trellis. Give you a shot of how the new grapes are doing. They're looking a little wimpy. We did get some rain last night, but not really enough. Oh, and this little thing that I thought was dead is not. Look at that. We have some growth there. That's awesome. And so our grapes are doing great. They're starting to bud and vine. Well, hopefully this little grape tunnel will be all covered up, and I will just be able to come in here and walk underneath it and see all the grape clusters and get them picked before they dry up. So here's our completed pasture. It turned out super nice, and we are looking forward to being able to use it. We've added 160 feet to our existing pasture. We expect the coons and the mini Nubians will absolutely love it. They will have some nice shade underneath those oak trees. We opted to do 10-foot gates. We drive in from this side, on this side of the property to deliver our hay and such. So we put in 10-foot gates so we can continue to do that. We don't want to drive across our lateral lines. And we also opted to buy our gates. Brian typically makes those or builds those, but with the price of lumber right now, it was just as economical to buy the gates and a lot less work. Okay guys, we're gonna wrap it up for today. If you can like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, we would really appreciate it. Thanks.